It's 4 PM Central European time on a Sunday, which means it is time for the Thyworm Weekly Roundup with my curated news and personal gaming endeavors. Are you enjoying these? Consider subscribing. Path of Exile released a new patch, 3.10.1, and I'll cover some of the highlights. I've been playing the new patch a bunch, and I have to say that it's been a big improvement. Some of the most notable changes are the visibility of the bad delirium spawns, like the exploding orbs. They're now red and really easy to spot, so well done on that part. Not only that, they also have a timer, like regular volatiles, which means they're pretty easy to dodge as well. Simulacrum fragments now drop in a vacuum at the end of the delirium mist, contrary to earlier statements made. Seems GGG budged a bit on this one, or the previous manifesto wasn't 100% understood by me. Another great update is the master missions on the map device. This makes it so easy to select a master mission quickly and just keep juicing those maps. A huge change, even though it's a single line, is this one. Percentage increased effect auras on you modifiers no longer apply to enemy debuff auras. This line basically takes away all the downsides of previous self-curse setups or aura effect setups, because enemy debuffs now don't last longer anymore. It has spawned a whole new wave of juicer builds as well, where stacking of notables and the clever use of a few uniques has led to some pretty hilarious scenes. Meet Thy Juicer. She's only level 85, but boy, this character is fun to play. I completely stole the build from Q-Dog, but I'm allowed to do that because he steals my last Epoch builds. It's a Herald stacking, Golem stacking, Blade Vortex build, and I'm not even using a Headhunter here because I don't have one. But maybe with this build I'll try to farm one because I'm having so much fun zooming through the maps. It's totally insane. This is the new meta, however, and according to Bax, the GGG community manager, this build won't get nerfed until the next league because too many people are playing it. I guess there are some ways that GGG can tweak these setups a bit, but for now enjoy it while it lasts. Last Epoch released patch 0.7.7, but that was only last night for me. I'm going to play that game a lot this week, and you can expect my regular breakdown video and first impressions video within a week or so. There I will extensively cover the patch with the changes and my thoughts. One thing is for sure though, it looks absolutely amazing. Torchlight 3 revealed another playable character last week, the Sharpshooter. The article about the reveal talks in length about the design philosophy, which mainly revolves around a treasure hunt participating in events for nobles, and in that capacity formed bonds with ancient spirits while tomb raiding. Now, this marksman and her pets can be played in Torchlight 3. The Sharpshooter has exclusive access to bows, which use trinkets and relics in accordance with the lore to imbue special bow attacks. This grants you access to powerful new skills, far outreaching other ranged weaponry usable by other classes such as pistols and rifles. The Sharpshooter offers 6 skills. There are 3 ranged skills: Scattershot, a cone attack, Heartseeker, a single target bleeding shot, and Targeted Strikes, a burst shot that does increased damage on a single target. You can also summon 3 spirit animals. Scout's Bones summons a rat that poisons enemies, Sacrifice the Goose summons an eagle that knocks back enemies and applies a debuff, and Loyal Shasta calls forth a wolf which functions as a tank, taunting the enemies. It looks pretty good all in all. Hopefully this gets released soon to the alpha client so we can play around with it. That would be nice. Killsquad posted another dev diary, this time about their veteran update. They recently did an overhaul of the Recruit League, of which you see footage right now. I'm doing both Heldoran and Queen Morgoth missions, and I really enjoyed the overhaul, with everything being much more streamlined. Although it's a simple implementation, there are quests to complete. For a rookie like me, it's clear what I'm supposed to do. It's pretty good. I've been consistently able to find other players for the content as well. It's a decent time to jump back into Killsquad, I would say. Regarding the dev diary, they shed some more light on the first veteran overhaul coming in the second half of April. It will feature the Plague, an infectious invasion that corrupts the land. Plague was already in the game, but it gets an upgrade with more monsters, abominations and bigger challenges. With the bosses from the Recruit League gone, their lands are now accessible and you'll venture there in veteran. Expect more bite-sized missions with some pretty funny voiceovers. The next content patch offers 9 new contracts full of good stuff. Don't die Jedi Minerva released Content Patch 4. Highlights are abilities for Minerva, which she previously didn't have. Our hero was only able to use her guns and summon the friendlies, the pets you see, but now she can also use one ability. It adds some variety to the combat and enables Minerva, the protagonist, to be more active instead of waiting for a friendly to clear the room. Combat received an overhaul as well, and it's mostly noticeable by a much more frantic experience. You really need to be on your toes and make use of all your abilities, because the game throws a lot of monsters your way in some very small corridors. I must say it works, however, and I found combat a lot more engaging than before. Overall, the game has improved significantly since I played it when it first launched in early access. There are tons of new monsters, friendlies, abilities, all sorts of new rooms and mechanics, some additional upgrade mechanisms. You get the essences much faster, allowing you to gain permanent buffs, because this is a roguelite. Where at first the game was good, it's now shaping up to be a really great game. Stone Shard posted a devlog update with news about their upcoming expansion, Torchlight. This expansion is getting more and more content, with developers talking about some new pretty exciting features. Grave robbery, for example, will be implemented. You can find valuable stuff, but you may experience adverse effects like a hit in morale if you do this too often. You would require a shovel as well. If you don't have one, you can even use your bare hands, but it will take significantly longer and there's a chance you suffer hand injuries. This feature alone says a lot about how Stone Shard is developed with such a massive amount of detail. And this is amazing to see. Other features include roadside altars that provide buffs and protections based on the deity. Additional save slots are implemented, which is great in a roguelite game that is as massive and as difficult as this one. You can explore a few different paths and get a much better feeling about the game without being penalized for it as harshly. Dungeon generation, a big feature in Stone Shard to keep the gameplay fresh and exciting, will be improved, allowing for more complex dungeons. And finally, the release date for all this good stuff, April 14th, 2020. Gamedec, an indie game cyberpunk detective RPG, started a Kickstarter for $50,000 and were successfully funded within 36 hours. They implemented stretch goals, which I'm sure also get decent funding. And it's no surprise why. This game looks absolutely astonishing. The cyberpunk version of Disco Elysium, and that's very much what this is. You are a Gamedec, a detective capable of solving crimes both in the virtual worlds, where these days, the 22nd century, usually everyone resides, but also in the real world where problems, murders and crime still exist. Think Ready Player One meets True Detective. Gamedec is a game with no action, just pure RPG, and what seems to be a very deep underlying system of choices, morals, skills and conversations. The whole thing looks extremely promising. Backers for $25 or more get early access in Q2 2020. The game is supposed to release around Q4 this year. I've been wanting to play Wild West and Wizards for a long time, but never really got around to it. Now that the Delirium hype died down a bit, I picked up a few more games and Wild West and Wizards is one of them. The devs were so kind to offer me a key, which I gladly accepted, and I've really been enjoying my time in the desert, the landscapes and the cute little towns. The game title basically describes what this is all about. What I personally like about the whole experience is the setting, which is relatively simple in terms of graphics, but still very atmospheric. The music is great, it really gives that saloon kind of feeling. Combat is a bit wonky, but this is an early access title, so I'm not too worried in that regard. The RPG elements this game offers are pretty good, with some stats, equipment, skills and spells. In most aspects, Wild West and Wizards is a very simple game, but it doesn't seem to strive for much complexity or graphical fidelity either. And simple doesn't mean ugly or bad. I've seen some beautiful sunsets in this game. I've had a lot of fun with various puzzles. I think the unique art style is a selling point rather than a detriment to the game. Recently, around 1.5 weeks ago, the game released an update introducing a new class, the Gunslinger, which is the class that I'm playing here. It's a fun character, utilizing pistols, rifles and shotguns, marking enemies and barraging them with bullets. It's super enjoyable. I'll keep playing the game, and if there's any notable news, I'll make sure to include it in the weekly roundups. Bright Memory released their 1.0 version. This game, created by just one developer, has spent a lot of time in early access in a very playable state, and now it is fully released. The full release features a main menu update, a new skin for the protagonist, Shelia, new sound effects, NVIDIA Ansel photo support mode, language support and motion blur in-game, if you like that sort of thing. They also fixed the position of Shelia's chest. Very important, we can't have out of place boobies of course. In the meantime, the work has started on Bright Memory Infinite, created by the same single developer, but this time he started from scratch to ensure an even better and more fleshed out game than the original Bright Memory, which was more of a tech demo. Everyone who already owns Bright Memory, the original one, will get a free copy of the new Bright Memory Infinite. That's some great consumer practices right there, because I would have easily paid another 5 to 10 bucks for another installment, as these are games that come highly recommended. Some personal gaming updates. I really didn't play a lot of other games apart from Path of Exile, where I'm now using this very ethical build. We're talking video games, however, so ethics don't apply when creating builds. Only the toolkit Grinding Gear Games gave us, and that toolkit plus some creativity created this result. Plus spending around 20 exalts on 2 voices, jewels, the Solstice Vigil and some other gear. Totally bonkers, but I'm loving it. I've also started exploring Iterra again, this time in the already glorious patch 0.7.7 of last Epoch. You can expect more videos on that soon. And that's all I have for you this week. Follow me on Twitter. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next week. I love you all. Bye bye.